Welcome, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar to help our exhibitors make the most out of their ICCFA experience. My name is Rick Platter. I'm the Supplier Relations Manager for the ICCFA. Today, we're going to be going over what's included with your booth space purchase, information about exhibitor registration, lead retrieval, and the attendee lists before I turn it over to Sheila Pinnell, Vice President of National Accounts for Fern Expo, our general contractor, and one of our co-chairs, Nick Tempe, CEO of Web Cemeteries, who will provide you with some tips and tricks to get the most out of your time exhibiting with us. And then finally, we'll conclude with a Q&A session at the end. But at any time during this webinar, if you have a question, located in the top right corner of your screen should be a Q&A button. Click on that button, submit your question, and we'll answer them at the end of the event. So, what's included in your booth space? Well, the booth space itself, obviously. But then we also supply you with the low pipe and drape that is separating you from your neighbors left and right of you, as well as an 8-foot high pipe and drape behind you, separating your neighbors from behind you. Nothing above 8 feet is allowed in your booth space if you have a back pipe and drape that's 8 feet tall. A printed sign with your company name and your booth number will be hung on the back of that pipe and drape. And then we also supply the aisle carpeting throughout the exhibit hall. What's not included in your booth is your carpeting. However, it is mandatory that all exhibitors have some sort of carpeting or floor covering. You can bring your own, or you can rent that from our general contractor, Fern Expo. Other items that are not included in your booth space are electricity, internet, phone. Those are items that you can purchase through the other contractors at the Fort Worth Convention Center. Tables, chairs, booth furnishings, trash cans, those types of things are also not included with your booth space. However, you can rent those through our general contractor, Fern Expo. You'll be able to locate that information in the Fern OneView portal. For each 10 by 10 booth space that you purchase with us, you receive 3 exhibitor badges at no additional cost to you. If you ordered 2 booths, a 10 by 20 booth, then you would have 6 exhibitor badges available to you, and so on and so forth. Additional badges have a cost of $350 per person. We charge this because everyone in the hall eats and drinks for free, and we have to cover those costs. The exhibitor registration portal has been open since February 10th and will remain open until April 22nd. I encourage everyone to go to iccfa.com/annual/exhibitors, scroll down, find the Register My Booth Personnel button, and click on that. There's instructions on what to do, as well as if you run into any issues, who to contact so that they can assist you. Again, I pray that you will take advantage of this and do this before April 22nd. There's nothing worse than arriving on show site, standing in line to print out your badge to find that you're not listed there. Then to have to go stand in another line to register and then come back to that line to then print out your badge. It's a total waste of time. So I implore you, please sign your people up for their badges ahead of time to avoid these headaches and loss of time. While you're signing your people up for their exhibitor badges, you could be prompted to purchase a President's Banquet ticket. This is an additional ticketed item that has a cost of $225 per person. It is not included with your booth purchase. It is not included with your exhibitor badge. This is an extra ticketed event that you must pay for. What's included with that President's Banquet ticket? There is a plated dinner, open bar. You'll be witness to the presidential exchange of power, passing the gavel from one president to the other year to year. We'll be honoring some folks. We'll be presenting some plaques and some awards. We'll also have the service of remembrance for the loved ones that we've lost this year to honor those folks. And then we'll close up the evening with some entertainment with one of the comedians that we've hired. Again, this will take place on April 29th, Wednesday, after you've done setting up your booth, the night before exhibiting begins, upstairs from the exhibit hall, there's a huge foyer area where we're going to be having the welcome reception. That is open to everyone, and we want everyone to attend, exhibitors and attendees. There'll be an open bar, hors d'oeuvres, and we want you to take advantage of this other opportunity to engage with the attendees. It's a great networking atmosphere. Adjacent to that that foyer is the banquet hall where the president's banquet will take place. You will not be permitted to enter that unless you have one of those president banquet tickets. Again, $225 per person. In addition to producing our badges, American Trade Show Services, ATS, has negotiated with the ICCFA and allowing us to give the exhibitors a free badge scanning device or 2 mobile downloadable apps for your smartphone. This allows you to scan the badges of the people that you interact with in your booth space. It allows you to capture that information in a quicker, easier, cleaner way, eliminate the handwritten forms or the lost business cards, and allows you to follow up with them in a quicker pace after the show's conclusion. If you require additional badge scanning devices or apps, you'll be able to purchase those. The email address is located on the slide now so that you can reach out to them and purchase those items. And then we've also linked this form to the exhibitor webpage so that you can download it and get all the information and contact them to purchase those items. We will be providing a desk outside of the registration area next to the badge scanning devices so that you can pick up those devices and apps at the American Trade Show Services desk. And then again, you can return them back to them at the end of the show. We will be providing the exhibitors with a pre-registration attendee list 4 weeks prior to the event. So our event kicks off on April 29th. So on Wednesday, April 1st, we'll be emailing the points of contact from the booth application, a link to the pre-registration attendee list, which will be in an Excel spreadsheet format. This will include the email addresses of the attendees unless they opt out, which we will then provide you with the mailing addresses so that you can still mail something out to them prior to the event. This will allow you to promote your booth location, highlight any giveaways or special offers, and allow you to schedule meetings in advance and drive traffic to your booth space. Approximately 2 weeks after the conclusion of the event, we'll provide those same individuals with an exhibitor survey. At the end of that survey, they'll be prompted to download the final attendee list or the post-show attendee list. Again, it'll be in the same format, the Excel spreadsheet. And if they opted in, you'll have their email address. If they opted out, you'll have their mailing address. This will allow you to follow up with every attendee at the show. Helpful hint, if the form doesn't open up on your screen, check your download folder. They're there. Several times now, you've heard me mention Fern Expo as our general contractor. We've had the privilege of having Fern Expo as our general contractor for over 25 years. And last year, as well as this year, we have the privilege of having Sharon Turner as our point of contact. Sharon Turner's email address is listed on this slide now. Sharon would have sent those points of contact on the booth application, the Fern OneView Exhibitor Service Manual portal link. It's a secure link so that you can order your carpet, your table, your chairs, all your accessories for your booth space, including your shipping and freight, as well as links to those general contractors within the Fort Worth Convention Center for your electricity, your internet, your food and beverage, your sign hanging, etc. However, if you cannot locate that link or email from Sharon Turner, you will have to contact her directly. The ICCFA cannot duplicate their secure web link to their service portal. So you have to reach out to Sharon directly and ask her to resend it to you. Now to talk more about Fern Expo, I'm going to introduce to you Sheila Pinnell, Vice President of National Sales Accounts. Take it away, Sheila.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sheila Pinnell. I am the Vice President of National Accounts at Fern Expo. We've had the pleasure of working with the ICCFA Association and their exhibitors for more than 25 years. And we are really delighted to take part in the kickoff of the first official exhibitor webinar. So in moving forward, I've outlined our agenda of key elements that I think would be beneficial to help you navigate the exhibitor experience in Fort Worth. We're going to start with the show schedule and the discount deadline dates. This is important to pay attention to the discount deadline dates. It will really be beneficial to you. This is for exhibitors that have 600 square feet or more exhibit space or have heavy equipment. Later on in the webinar, we will address the heavy equipment requirements, what qualifies for that. Exhibitor move-in, the official exhibitor move-in is 1 o'clock that afternoon. So it's important that if you're targeted to come in at 8 o'clock Tuesday to make sure we have access to your booth, please do everything in your power to make sure that you hit those targeted move-in times before the others come in at 1 o'clock and the aisles start getting full of crates. If you need to work past 6 o'clock that night, please let us know. We'll advise security. Once you leave the hall, you're not allowed back in after 6 p.m. And the same thing applies for Wednesday at 5 o'clock. If you need to stay late and work, you can certainly do that. But once you leave the hall, you don't have access to return after 5 p.m. Show dates, we open at 9 o'clock on Thursday morning. Our service desk will be open at 8 a.m. on Thursday and will remain open 1 hour after the show closing. The same thing on Friday applies. We will have our service desk open at 7 a.m. and our service desk will be there until the end of move out at 9 p.m. on Friday night. Exhibitor move out scheduled 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. That is for carrier pickup only if you're using an outside carrier. Otherwise, all your display products need to be removed from the hall on Friday evening. If you leave the hall while you're waiting to empty for your empty crate return, please do not leave anything of value in your exhibit space. Take it with you because there's a lot of activity in the exhibit hall during that time. A lot of people have access into the hall. So don't leave anything of value if you leave your booth unattended during the move out process. Carriers can start checking in at 1 o'clock. We won't start loading them until after your freight has been packed up and your bill of lading is returned to our service desk. But the carrier check-in, they can come in at 1 o'clock. There will be a wait time. And then Saturday morning, they'll need to check in at 8 a.m. The discount deadline date. So Fern, our advanced pricing discount deadline date is April 7th. So all your orders need to be received by that time through the exhibitor portal by end of day on April 7th. EventLink, the official AV provider's deadline date is April 13th. And then the non-provided services, which is Edlin Electric and Cox Internet, is April 7th as well. The services that Fern is offering to exhibitors is very similar. In past years, we have upgraded some of our offerings, and you'll see those in the exhibitor portal, especially on the custom exhibits. If you choose to rent a custom booth from us, we can design it, and we have a lot of new structures and options available to exhibitors who choose to do that instead of shipping their display. So the first thing would be Fern Transportation. That is our transportation services, and we offer a couple of different options with Fern Transportation. That is a carrier service. So we, in the portal, there is a carousel at the top, and you can reach out to them and they'll give you a transportation quote. There's also an option that is a bundled rate for your material handling services and your transportation fees. And it also gives you priority empty crate return should you choose to use that service. So something you might want to consider if you have an early flight to catch on Friday. I know a lot of people are on those 5 o'clock flights on Friday afternoon. So priority crate return is an option. You can't just pay for that service. It's only offered if you use the Fern Freedom shipping service. Material handling, that is separate than your transportation fees. Material handling is the receiving of your shipment at our advanced warehouse or at show site. and that is chargeable by the weight of your shipment. There's no minimums, but it is billed, invoiced by the pound. And all the details and the shipping labels are included in the exhibitor portal. We have booth furnishings, a wide selection of different booth furnishings, from display cabinets, flooring, chairs, tables, back wall, all different types of things. If you don't find it in the portable, reach out to us and we can tell you what options we do have available. Flooring is required by show management by ICCFA. You'll need to have carpeting or laminate flooring. You can provide your own, or you can certainly rent it from Fern, and we have many different options and colors available in the portal. This year, a little bit different, unlike last year in Las Vegas, Fern provides a service for sign hanging. So if you have an island booth, sign hanging is available, and that is under the labor tab in the exhibitor portal. We also Fern will be providing the cleaning service, and that is under the same labor tab as sign hanging in the exhibitor portal. I talked briefly a little bit about the custom and turnkey displays. There's many different options. There's some for rent and some for purchase. Again, in the exhibitor portal, you can access examples and pricing for that. And that simplifies the exhibiting process for you, because you walk in on the show floor and your booth is ready to go as soon as you get there. We do all of that in advance. So the only thing you need to do is set out your product, and we're ready to go. So something to consider. And if you weigh your options on the pricing of your transportation fees and material handling charges and the labor to set up in your time, maybe you might consider custom or turnkey display option this year. Also for displays, we have forklift labor available. If you need to set your display or headstones in a certain location in your booth, you can order forklift labor as well. We do have a heavy equipment option. There is a document that we will need to receive back, and you can reach out to Rick Platter with ICCFA or Sharon Turner, your exhibitor services, and we will send you the heavy equipment questionnaire to fill out so we can plan. We try to share our services with the heavier forklifts, so one exhibitor is not responsible for the cost of renting the heavier forklifts for the week. So we try to spread that cost among several exhibitors that will be using the same equipment to unload their heavier pieces. Again, on Fern Transportation, these are the services. Again, I talked about the Fern Freedom Shipping, where that's a bundled rate that includes priority crate return. We have, if you need flatbed for special quote prices, that's not an LTL carrier. If you need overnight shipment or expedited shipment, either coming inbound or outbound, or if you want a dedicated truck or you have a whole truckload, we offer those services as well. There's a lot of good benefits to using Fern Transportation. We have online tracking of your shipment. You don't have to worry about your drivers waiting in line to get unloaded. That freight is unloaded Monday afternoon and Tuesday morning, so it's there once you arrive. And it also, if you have a skid with a lot of products for the move out, we offer a discount using Fern Transportation off your shrink wrap and banding should you need it. And again, the Freedom Shipping, it's just kind of a breakdown of what it includes is the round trip shipping costs, material handling, priority empty returns. Again, it's a bundled rate. Everybody will incur a material handling cost. So we charge per pound. You'll know up front what the cost is. However, if you're shipping out and you put on your bill of lading that you have 200 pounds, the carriers at their discretion and most often will weigh those shipments. And more times than not, you'll find that shipment weighs more. Our price is based on what is on that bill of lading from the delivering carrier. So if they say your shipment weighs 500 pounds, the charge for material handling is going to be 500 pounds. It's not going to be the 250 pounds that you estimated that it weighed. This year, we do not have the need to have a marshaling yard, so your carriers can come direct to show site if they want. I encourage that you send your shipments to the advanced warehouse. because there will be no wait time for carriers, which they will have if you come straight to the show site. And again, there's no minimum fees if you're shipping small packages. So the key points for the freight management of the loading dock. We have to, if there's a line of exhibitors, and this is especially challenging during move out, because all the carriers are going to be showing up Friday. If you have a carrier that you bringing in, your company may have a national agreement with a certain carrier. Once your bill of lading is turned into the Fern service desk, we document the time that it's turned in, and then we have you on the manifest for your carriers to come in. There will be a wait time. There's only so many loading docks, and we have to load. Last year, we had over 50 carriers check in, so there is a wait time for your carrier. Some carriers won't wait. They'll come in, and they'll just want to pull up to a dock and get loaded and leave. If your carrier is not accustomed to making pickup at trade shows, maybe this is a good time to consider Fern transportation. So that's why trade show deliveries do differ than if you're going straight to your warehouse, where it's just one truck coming in at a time. But oftentimes, especially from that 4 to 7 p.m. on Friday night, it can be a 2-hour wait for carriers to get space into a loading dock. It just depends on how many outbound shipments we have and how many different carriers. We do make a priority spot for FedEx and UPS, but you'll need to make your own arrangements with those carriers, or any carrier you use outside of Fern Transportation. You'll need to contact them and give them the pickup address and what time to pick it up. And they check in with our freight desk upon arrival at the show site. But we have bills of lading in the exhibitor portal. There is a tab where you can give us the information in advance for the bill of lading. We will prepare it for you and deliver it to your booth at show site. That will save you some time. So we highly recommend that you do that in advance and not wait till you're there at show site. Your carriers will need to have a certified weight ticket. We need this, and that's what the material handling fee is based on, but they will need a certified weight ticket, which most carriers do have, because you should have that if you're traveling over the road anyway. Make sure that for the heavy equipment, if you're going to schedule your labor at 8 o'clock, if you're one of the priority move-in targeted at 8 o'clock on Tuesday morning, if your carriers are going to show up at 8 o'clock to start unloading, don't schedule your labor to start setting up your display. Allow a couple of hours for us to get the freight unloaded and delivered to your booth and staged around the perimeter of your booth space. If a driver shows up at 7 o'clock that morning, they're going to be sitting there till 8 o'clock because the cruise starts at 8 o'clock. So just plan accordingly, and it will save you some money from your carrier. Make sure your shipments, when you send them out, make sure if you're not using our labels, our shipping labels that are available in the exhibitor portal, please make sure that you have the exhibitor name and your booth number on the labels for those that you prepare on your own. And also keep in mind on carriers, when they're making deliveries or picking up on the move out, they need to understand there may be a wait time. Some carriers just refuse to wait. So it's important that that's communicated to your carrier if you're using your preferred carrier, not Fern Trans. So exhibitor notification documents, we have fine-tuned this year over year for ICCFA exhibitors. Again, the heavy equipment questionnaire, the floor load limit is 300 pounds per square foot. And it's important that the heavy pieces come in on Tuesday morning prior to the dock area being full with exhibitors trying to come in scheduled at 1 o'clock or on Wednesday. So that's why we've made special arrangements for the people with the larger equipment and the larger booths to come in first thing on Tuesday morning. And so it's not a first come, first served. There's sometimes we try to follow that, but if there is a big piece of equipment going to the front of the hall, we need to make sure we have a clear path to access to get that piece of equipment with the larger machines into that booth space. So that's why we ask for your cooperation on try everything you can to make that targeted time on Tuesday morning and not wait till the afternoon. If you're bringing in vehicles, and we have several companies that do each year, please make sure you follow the local fire marshal requirements that are all outlined here on this slide. But there is also a mobile display notification form in the exhibitor portal. We appreciate it if you complete that, because we need to advise the fire marshal in advance that we will be having these vehicles. And we also draw them in on the floor plan that we submit for fire marshal approval. Without this display notification, and we don't know you have a display and you come into show site with it, there is a good chance you won't be able to exhibit without that display notification in our possession. We have to communicate that to the fire marshal. That's very important to remember that. And it's also important for those display vehicles. We would like to have them in the hall on Tuesday morning, but I understand a lot of, you're going to be driving them in. Just let us know when you can get there, because we do need to plan ahead to make sure that we have space that you can drive down the aisle with the vehicle. If it's full of crates, that can only delay your vehicle from having to sit outside, and there's a wait time. And then we'd have to wait for the other exhibitors to finish their displays before you can come in. So I know that is a little bit of an inconvenience, but depending on the location of your booth, it would be helpful if they could come in on Tuesday morning. If you have any problems with that, reach out to Rick or myself, and we'll be glad to work through it and come up with a good resolution for you. I've mentioned many times the exhibitor portal, which is called Fern OneView. You should have received an invite to access this back in January. And once you go into, once you open the email with your password, it's all password protected, there is a green link that takes you straight into the portal. There's also a purple link, which is a tutorial on how to navigate exhibitor portal if you are having some problems or you have questions about it. So it's really a good system. There's a carousel that's looping on the website. It will give you reminders on deadline times to get your discounts in place. It will remind you about floor covering requirements, fern transportation options, and anything new that we're bringing to the table this year that we haven't in the past. I think you'll like it, and it's a good way you can share the portal, the password, with others on your team or with your exhibitor appointed contractor if you use a display house to set up your display. Also, those documents are in the exhibitor portal because we'll need the EAC's exhibitor appointed contractor. We will need their document and proof of insurance for them to come in and work inside the hall. That's pretty industry standard, not specific to ICCFA or Fern. That's just industry standard on all trade shows. Here's some options of flooring. We have plush flooring, we have carpet padding, we have the vinyl roll products, different colors. You might take a look at this, and we do have some discounts for the larger space. Ordering carpeting from us saves you from shipping costs, and it also saves you from material handling costs. And so and labor to install. The price includes the labor, the delivery, the rental, everything. You walk in and your flooring's ready to go. If you using your own flooring, you're paying for the shipping charges, you're paying material handling charges for us to receive at the warehouse, deliver it, plus you're paying for labor. So again, just weigh your options on the cost of that flooring. And if you do provide your own flooring, it's important that you use the certain type of floor tape that does not leave a residue on the floor. If you're bringing in something that you just buy at the hardware store to put your flooring down, they will charge you a removal fee for any residue that tape leaves. And I have seen on past shows where that could exceed $1,000 cost from the venue. So it's important to make sure if you are installing your own that you use the appropriate taping to install it to the floor. Custom and turnkey booths, all different versions. You have islands. We sell hanging signs, the fabric signs, different shapes, different sizes. We have a lot of different counter options that you can upgrade if you want your brand put on it with graphics. A lot of different options there. So I encourage you to take the time. If you're looking to do a custom booth, it doesn't look like your standard rental booth. There's a lot of different options in there that we can do. And some of our team in our custom booth sales may be reaching out to you between now and the end of March if you want to consider doing a custom booth. They'll be contacting you. So I would take that into consideration. The union guidelines in Fort Worth are a little bit more flexible than they were in Las Vegas. It's important that, minors are not allowed to be in the exhibit hall during setup and for teardown. Full-time employees must be installing your booth. If you're using a third-party company, you have to fill out the EAC form along with their proof of insurance. We also have display guidelines, and this is really to benefit the exhibitors and their setup. So you don't block others' view coming down the aisle. The forklift services within the booth are exclusively provided by Fern, so you can't bring in your own lift and be moving displays around. The union will put the kibosh on that one. And the only time you need to hire forklifts if we're moving product around in your booth or displays. Material handling is included with getting your freight to your booth, taking your empties out of your booth and storing it. So the only time you really need in-booth forklift orders if we need to move some pieces around in your booth after the initial delivery. When scheduling your labor for dismantle, please make sure you allow adequate time. So when the show closes at 1 o'clock on Friday, we have to wait 15, 20 minutes for the attendees to clear the exhibit hall. And then we start the roll-up of the aisle carpet. That, between the exhibitors leaving and rolling up the aisle carpet, it's a 45-minute to 1 hour process. So the empties will not start to be returned to the exhibitors' booths until 2 o'clock on Friday afternoon. It's important to remember this because at 2:30, if you come to our service desk and said, I'm waiting for my crates, we're only into the process for 30 minutes at that time, not an hour and a half. So just be prepared for that and plan accordingly. So again, the aisle carpet removal, the display move out, our staff will go by and talk to each display vehicle exhibitor. We will do everything we can to roll those out as soon as the show closes and the attendees clear the floor, even as soon as the aisle carpet is up, because it's in our best interest and yours to remove the vehicles from the floor, because there's a lot of activity going on in forklifts and people dismantling their displays. So we want to get the vehicles off the floor as soon as possible. If you want us POV, privately owned vehicle, so if you bring in your own vehicle, you cannot access the loading dock area. The hand-carried items you could probably take out through the front door, but the back loading dock area, 1 hour after the show closes before we can load anybody out through that dock. Exhibitors are not allowed back in the area where the forklifts are accessing the empty crates to bring back in. The heavy equipment removal, once we have a list of who needs that service, we will be in touch with you and plan accordingly on when to schedule your carriers to come in and pick up the heavy pieces. If you choose to bring in your own carpeting, or maybe you've bought it online somewhere and had it delivered, and you just leave the floor or you leave part of your display there, there will be disposal fees if you walk off and leave anything in the exhibit floor of any size. Outbound shipping, again, the bill of lading, fill out the paperwork in advance and submit it online in the portal, and we will complete the paperwork and provide it to you at show site. Make sure that all your freight is labeled. I recommend 2 labels per piece, unless it's a small, piece of freight. If you have several boxes, I recommend that you put them on a skid and shrink wrap them. We have shrink wrap service available there on site. You don't need to order that in advance. Just come to our service desk during move out. Don't leave your freight in your booth with the paperwork sitting on top of it. Please turn the paperwork into our service desk once you are completed dismantling your display and it's packed. That way we know it's ready to be shipped out. Leave your freight in your booth, but don't leave the paperwork. The carrier's name, if you have an outside carrier that you're using and not Fern Transportation, we need the carrier's name and a phone number for that carrier. If the carrier doesn't show up by the check-in time that's noted on the schedule, we will reroute that shipment on Fern Transportation because we do have to clear the hall. There is another show coming in one half of the hall on Saturday morning, and by 10 a.m. on Saturday morning, we have to have the hall clear. So please know where your shipments are going. Make sure you have the right address, and we have the carrier's contact information. Small package shipments. If you want a FedEx or UPS shipments out, it's important to know that there is not a business center available during move out. So you'll have to take it to the nearest business office, or you can get a rate for Fern Transportation for a small package rate. It's a little bit more than what you're going to be paying FedEx or UPS, but it's certainly a lot more convenient. So in addition to the services offered by Fern, there's catering, there's lead retrieval, event link, electrical and plumbing, internet, and telecom services. And again, all those, the contact information is in the exhibitor portal. For new exhibitors this year, welcome to ICCFA. I think you're really going to have a pleasant experience with the setup and the move out, and I'm sure you will during the show as well. But just prepare in advance. Pay attention to the exhibitor guidelines. So if you have an inline booth where you've got a booth on each side of you and you have a common back wall with the exhibitor behind you, make sure you pay attention to the height guidelines that you have so you don't exceed those, because you will need to make adjustments on site to follow those guidelines. Make sure you order your services ahead of time so you can take advantage of the discounts that are offered for advanced orders. Use your eye-catching displays. I mean, again, if you don't have a display or you're just thinking about doing a pull-up banner, look in the exhibitor portal, some options that we have. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised on something, think outside the box a little bit and maybe find a booth that's affordable that you can use. And then when the show's over, you walk away. So that saves you from packing up. Arrive early to make sure everything is there in your booth. If you come in an hour before the show and realize you forgot to order booth carpeting or your freight's not there, highly recommend you come in on Wednesday and just make sure everything is there. So when you come in Thursday morning, when the show opens, you hit the ground running. There is several options to reach out to Fern. Again, the exhibitor portal. We also have web chat available. We have on-site exhibitor services that's located there in the exhibit hall. And then we also have the call center, the contact center, that's available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern time. And I think that's a quick overview of the services we have and some of the information you need to know. If there's anything you're not finding in the exhibitor portal, reach out to us at any time. We're here to help. We're flexible, and look forward to seeing everybody in Fort Worth.
Thank you for that helpful information, Sheila, and how to utilize Fern Expo during the ICCFA experience. I'd also like to remind folks of two things. One, on move-in, the crates that you ship into the exhibit hall, when those crates are empty and you're done with those crates, we need your assistance. We need you to go visit Sharon at the Fern Expo desk in the exhibit hall and get the empty stickers. Bring those back, fill them out, place them on your crates so that Fern can remove those crates and have them taken off the show floor. This will help us lay down the aisle carpeting. The sooner we get that done, the sooner everything gets moving. The second thing I'm going to remind you of is on the last day of our show, on move out, on May 1st. Exhibiting ends at 1 p.m. Two things have to take place before any empty crates can be brought back to the exhibitors. One, we have to remove the display vehicles that are on the show floor. And two, we have to roll up that aisle carpeting. All that has to be done before we can start bringing in the forklifts and bringing in the crates. So that's going to take some time. So I will tell everyone, have patience, please. Patience is a virtue, okay? I would also tell you that in scheduling your departure from Fort Worth, be mindful of this, okay? Don't plan your plane to take off at 2 p.m. and think you're going to make it, okay? Plan accordingly, okay? ICCFA and Fern Expo need some time to remove those vehicles, roll up that aisle carpet, and bring back those crates so that you can pack up and move out. And as much as I hate to say this, life is unfair. Someone's going to be first to get their crates, and someone must be last. So again, patience is a virtue. Now I'd like to turn it over to Nick Tempe, CEO of Web Cemeteries, who will provide you with some tips and tricks to make the most out of your time exhibiting with us at the ICCFA Experience.
Thank you, Rick. I'm excited to walk through some ideas, some tips, and strategies on how to maximize engagement at the ICCFA Experience this year. My name is Nick Tempe, and I'm a proud co-chair of the ICCFA Experience in Dallas-Fort Worth. And I've also exhibited as a vendor many times at the ICCFA, and I'm excited to share some strategies and ideas that I think you'll find helpful. There's no new ideas under the sun, but I think there's a lot of helpful reminders, and there's something here that anyone will be able to take away and execute and implement. And we're going to dive right in and look at the 3 areas that we're going to cover: before, during, and after the show. So ahead of time, it's really critical that we have a strategy and a plan. And then while we're on site, we need to execute on that plan. And then, of course, bring it all home with post-show follow-up. So those are the 3 areas we're going to highlight today, with several strategies in each. And opening up, looking at the pre-show planning, I want to start off acknowledging that we have to have goals. Now, one thing that's critical with any kind of a goal is to write it down, to have that level of accountability. So we have to put this pen to paper, or here we've got a typewriter. One of my goals in my business is to help cemeteries eliminate typewriters. That's not a goal at the ICCFA, though. So we got to get more specific on the goals that we're setting for what we're trying to accomplish out of this show. And I want to just talk through and highlight a couple examples of that. So rather than just walking up to someone, having a conversation, and bringing home a business card, we want to be a lot more specific in what we're trying to actually get out of these conversations and out of the ICCFA experience. So a few ideas here would be actually booking qualified calls. You know, when you're done talking to someone and you're getting their card, you know, hey, could we take a quick look at the calendar and put 30 minutes on next week or the week after? Or maybe your goal is scheduling client visits. You know, you can actually accomplish that while you're at the ICCFA. Or maybe what you want to do is walk the show floor and identify strategic vendor partners that you could work with or collaborate with and build those relationships while we're there. Or maybe, you know, our product doesn't lend to it, but yours might allow you to actually sign contracts while you're at the show. So bring those agreements with you and have your customer notes ready and be ready to actually have those conversations. Next, as we're preparing for the show, we want to make sure we have a good hook. You know, how can we actually quickly and succinctly grab someone's attention on a sign, or as we're passing in the hallway, just quickly share what we do? You know, have a simple 1-sentence positioning statement. And you can fill in the blanks here to create this positioning statement for your business. We help this type of provider solve this particular pain point, and you get this outcome at the end of our process. And I just looked at the directory of registered vendors and just grabbed a couple quick examples here. You can see Tukios and Disrupt Media do an awesome job of this on their website, and I'm sure they will in their booth as well. You know, funeral home websites made ridiculously easy, or find new customers using social media. Very quick, succinct, and the prospect knows whether or not they want to talk with you based on that value proposition. Next here, we want to have a pitch. This is a little bit more than the hook. This is where we actually are having a brief conversation and explaining who we are to the person that we're talking with. This needs to be 30 seconds or less, and it has to identify the client need and your solution similar to that hook. But really, one of the most important things is that it needs to lead to a question that opens up a conversation with this person that you're talking with. And when we're down lower in this presentation talking about the on-site execution, we're going to talk about the types of questions that we can be asking people. But absolutely work on your pitch and make sure that everyone who's coming on your team is familiar with your pitch and able to say it in a comfortable conversational manner. Next year, we're going to look at outreach. It's important to go to the ICCFA experience, and it's also important to make sure that other people know we're going to the ICCFA experience. You know, we made that target list up above of who we're going to be talking to, reaching out to. We want to make sure that they know we're coming. So I've seen two strategies when it comes to this in attending the ICCFA and other industry shows. And I'm going to give you guys a multiple choice on these two strategies of which we think is going to work better. We can go with pray and spray, or we can actually create a target list and reach out to these people. And hopefully it's obvious to you which of these is going to work better. I've seen a lot of people take the pray and spray approach, and absolutely when you throw everything up on the wall, something's going to stick, but you're going to have much better results if you figure out in advance who's going to be there, not just which businesses, but which stakeholders within the business are going to be there, and reach out to them ahead of time, asking for appointments, letting them know you'll be there, building awareness that you're at the show, and then looking for those people when you're actually at the show if you haven't been able to schedule a meeting in advance. So that outreach is really critical, and make sure you're reaching out more than once. You send a single email or leave a single voicemail offering to meet with someone. Keep in mind there are hundreds of other vendors making these same calls and emails. So make your outreach unique, make it stand out, and be persistent and professional and polite in how you're reaching out to these folks. Also, having a giveaway can be really an important element of getting people to your booth. And I would generally say offer value over stuff. If you're going to go with stuff, then try to make it memorable, try to make it stand out, not just another pen or another sticky note pad. But I would really consider looking at the ability to offer something of value, not necessarily even tangible. But here's a few ideas on the screen here. So offer benchmarking if your business and your business analytics allow it. Compare your at-need conversion rate to your peers. Or a mini audit will help you look at and assess your pricing with an 8-minute meeting. Or a calculator, what would 10% more call conversions mean for your business? Or a one-page playbook that you could offer, based on industry trends that you're seeing as the vendor. Keep in mind, as vendor partners with cemeteries, funeral homes, and crematories, we have a unique perspective in that we're looking in and across hundreds of these businesses every day and every year. And we can offer back a perspective to our customers that's very valuable to them, completely aside from the actual product or service that we're offering. So take some time to think about that and think about where you might be able to come in with some of that value and offer it to people here at the experience. The second area we're going to look at is the on-site execution to make sure we're maximizing our time and energy at the ICCFA experience. Now, the first element of this is our booth behavior. We're putting a lot of time and resources into making an impact in our corner of the ICCFA experience hall. And there's a couple things we can do to make sure we're making a welcoming environment. And this is where I am going to have to apologize to our general contractor, Fern. They have a lot of fantastic things that you can and should rent from them to help simplify the setup and maximize the engagement of your booth. But one thing I'm going to caution you against renting or bringing with you is a chair. We're at the ICCFA to engage people. We're there to maximize our time. And what I'm going to say is, if you're not tired by the time we leave, you've done something wrong. If you're sitting in your booth and you have the wall of a screen or a laptop in front of you, you're not engaging people. In that scenario, unless someone's already walking to your booth to meet with you, they're not going to stop and interrupt what you're doing. Instead, we need to be standing just at the aisle of the booth with a smile and an engaging question to ask someone, so we can stop them and start a conversation. So if you do need to sit, which you will, because we have lots of expo hours at this event, that's why we have the hub. You can have someone else in your team man that booth, and you can sneak over to the hub and take a seat, grab a drink, and engage with people there and continue maximizing your time. But the booth isn't the place for resting. The booth is the place for engaging customers. So with that, create that engaging environment, and then have your opener questions ready. If you're standing the aisle with a smile, you have to have a question ready to ask the people that are walking by. And how are you is exactly the wrong type of question to ask. It might be the most natural that comes to mind, but that's what you ask when you're walking. That's your reflexive question when you're walking down the hallway, passing someone. How are you? I'm fine. And then you guys never see each other again. And that doesn't create engagement. So these are just a few examples. You can come up with questions that make sense for your particular business or clients. But what brought you to the experience this year? What's the number one thing you're looking to improve this year? What's the hardest part of this particular workflow in your business lately? These are questions that demand answers, and they can be quick, but it's going to open a conversation, and it's going to be relevant to that person being here in this place with you in the show floor. So those opener questions are critical. And then another element of making your booth a success at the ICCFA is actually leaving your booth. You're going to want to bring a good set of walking shoes, and you're going to want to walk the show floor. Some of the best encounters you're going to have at the ICCFA are going to be outside your booth, in the hub at the center of the room, where we're going to have drinks and snacks and people mingling all day. It's going to be, as people are leaving one of the 3 stages in the different corners of the room. So walk the room and make sure you're connecting with people. Do it professionally, do it politely. Don't pin them to the wall, but make sure that you're walking the floor and having those questions ready to ask as you're engaging people. And you'll find that you'll go home with much, much more opportunity. Again, did I mention we're going to be tired at the end of this event? We're not sitting, we're walking, and we're talking with people all day long, but that's what we're there for. Another critical piece of making this a success is scheduling meetups with people. This ought to be done ahead of time in that pre-show outreach that you're doing, but it can be done at the show too. Make sure that you pre-scout a meeting location. It doesn't have to be in your booth. That might actually deter people from coming in as they walk by. If you're sitting there having a focused conversation, they may not feel like they can just drop in and grab a flyer or ask a question. So look for a place outside of your booth where one of you can pull off and have those one-on-one meetings. The hub is right there. Again, I keep mentioning that, but the center of the expo hall is designed to be a place for people to mix and mingle. So if you don't need a super private conversation, the hub can be an excellent place for that. Or you can hop onto the convention center website and find some of the other places adjacent to our meeting room where you can pull somebody aside for a 15-minute conversation. But as you're reaching out to people, give them a calendar link. Have pockets of time where you've blocked off that are available for people to grab a 15-minute or 30-minute appointment with you and maximize that time. Again, if you're not going home tired, you didn't do it right. So open up time for coffee before breakfast, open up time for a drink after dinner, and make sure you're maximizing meeting with people. We're bringing together many of the best industry professionals into one room and one facility, and we need to meet with each other while we're there. And then, of course, obviously, personally invite the people on your target list. That's part of that pre-show outreach. So while we're at the show, we want to actually hit our target. And I mentioned it earlier, but it really is important to keep this in mind. And hopefully all of you are already doing this. But when you're wrapping up a conversation, don't just ask for a business card or a picture of their name badge. Ask for that next step. Book an appointment with them. Have it on the calendar, whether it's a Zoom call or an in-person meeting, following the event. Walk around and actually meet those other vendors that you might want to partner with, or actually have the contract ready to sign with your prospect. Whatever that goal is that you wrote down from the very first slide here, make sure you're actually aiming at that goal when you're putting out your calls to action to the people that we're meeting with. So the post-show follow-up, I said this was going to be the lightest area in our presentation, but must be the heaviest area of emphasis in order for you to make this a successful show. It's a simple concept, really. We need to send emails. We need to make phone calls. We need to actually follow through and carry that excitement home to the people that we meet with at the experience. Now, a couple quick rules of thumb that you again, hopefully already know this, but don't send those follow-up emails while we're still at the show or the day after. People are going to be coming back to a wall of emails and a wall of tasks when they get home. So give them a day or two, but do not take more than a week to make these follow-up calls and emails. Keep it fresh, keep that momentum going, keep it short and direct, recap your conversation, and have that simple call to action. I'm going to be in your area. Can we meet up at this time? Or can we put 30 minutes on the calendar 2 weeks from now when things have settled down? Whatever that is, but make sure that you're actually engaging in that next step and capturing that next step to keep that momentum carrying forward. So a quick recap of our before, during, and after the ICCFA experience. Before, we need to write down our goals, have that target list, outreach to those people. You need to have your pitch ready and ideally generate a content giveaway that's going to bring people to your booth to learn more about our profession or more about their business. And then during the show, we have to have those strong openers. Get rid of the chairs, leave your booth, and meet with the people you came to see. And afterwards, we simply have to call and email. So thank you guys for the time today. I'm very excited to see you all in Dallas-Fort Worth and looking forward to an awesome experience.
Thank you for those helpful tips, Nick. Exhibitors, I hope that he has given you some helpful hints and reminders about being proactive in such a way that you get the most out of your experience at the show floor. ICCFA has got something new and exciting this year that we want to explain to you. It's an activity called the Stockyard Stamp Tour, or the Stockyard Stampede, pun intended. This is a high energy interactive way to drive serious traffic to your booth space. Okay. It's limited to the first 30 exhibitors that sign up. The cost is $750 per participate. The ICCFA will provide you with a stamp that's custom to your booth, the cards to the attendees. We'll be promoting it, and then obviously the prizes. Now, if you're interested in this, I implore you to contact Lindsay Gundrum as soon as you can. Her information is listed on this slide. Again, it's limited to the first 30 exhibitors that sign up for this. And the idea behind this is that we want to drive traffic to your booth space. Now, what kind of traffic? We don't want the traffic that comes in and just says, stamp my card. No, that's not what this is about. We need you to develop something that allows you to engage with the attendees in a meaningful way that you get something out of it, whether that's taking a brochure, taking a business card, signing up for a meeting, or having that meeting in your booth space. You decide what is that engagement level so that they can acquire your stamp. All right. So we want you guys to participate and have a good experience and take the most out of this. And again, contact Lindsay Gundrum. Her information is listed on this slide. Exhibitors, I hope you've had a meaningful time with us today, speaking with Sheila, myself, and Nick, giving you some tips and hints about how to make the most of your experience at the ICCFA 2026 experience. And now we're going to open it up for Q&A. So if you have any questions that you've entered, we're going to answer them now. Thank you. Hello, everyone. How you doing? I think Lindsay's having a little bit of trouble. Again, thanks for joining us today, everyone. And we're going to get started with these questions here in a minute. I saw a bunch of questions that were coming in. Let me just see. Let's start at the top. Let's see, are my people registered for the exhibitor badges automatically, or do I have to do that myself? Again, you guys have to register your people. That link that we shared with you guys is the ICCFA.com/annual/exhibitors. That would be the way to register your people for those badges. So the answer is yes, you must register your people for those badges.
Yeah, and if you didn't see that email, you can also just go straight to the ICCFA website and log into the member portal, and you can register there with the exhibitor.
For smaller packages being shipped out Friday at teardown, do we need to call UPS and FedEx to pick up in the hall? Sheila, I think this is probably good for you or Steve.
Yes, so you'll have to make arrangements with them and request a pickup. It's a 50% chance that you'll have that they'll show up on site, those carriers. So you'll either have to take if they don't show up, then we'll have you sign a document what to do with the shipments if those carriers fail to show up.
Sheila, there's a question on whether Fern rents 50-inch screen TVs.
We do not, but Evently, the audiovisual provider does, and their order form is in the exhibitor portal. If it's not listed there, you can contact them. Okay,
excellent.
Thank you. Jumping back in, I think Rick was having a few issues where he wasn't hearing all of us. So thank you for jumping in on that, Nick. And again, thank you all for being here today. There was some really fantastic information, and we're excited for the questions that have been coming in so far. A really good question from Kathleen is, for smaller packages being shipped out on Friday at teardown, do we need to call UPS or FedEx to pick them up in the hall?
Yes, we just answered that when you were.
Oh, sorry. I was away. I was trying to figure out the things. Okay, sorry. Did we get the question of what time should we tell our carriers to be there on Friday?
No. So what I recommend, I would tell them to come in it depends on what type of carrier, what they're picking up. So you know, you need to estimate how long it's going to take you to dismantle your booth and pack it up. And then once you turn in your bill of lading to our service desk, so to be safe, you could say 5 o'clock. Don't have them come in at 3 o'clock. There'll be a long wait if you do that. But I would think 5, 6 o'clock on Friday night, or they could come in on Saturday morning, but they need to sign in or they need to check in by 8 a.m.
Thank you, Sheila, for that answer. Kathy, I believe, has another question that goes towards you also, Sheila. She is asking if they can use their own hand truck to move our crates. They say they have a pallet jack.
You cannot use a pallet jack. You can use a 4-wheel cart, but you cannot use a pallet jack to bring your items in. It's there's union jurisdictions there.
Thank you for clarifying that, Sheila.
And you won't have access. POVs, privately owned vehicles, will not have access to dock. We have a POV unloading area, but you won't have access to an actual loading dock. That's controlled by the union jurisdictions.
Perfect. Thank you so much for clarifying that, Sheila. I know there's a lot of rules that come to moving in, so it's good to have that clarification. Michael has asked about flooring. So again, to Fern, for a 10 by 10 booth, can we use a 2-foot square foam flooring?
You can use, well, it has to stay within your 10 by 10 footprint of your booth space. You cannot go out into the aisle because we have to roll out carpet. So as long as you stay within that 100 square foot footprint for each 10 by 10 booth that you have.
Yeah, and I can say our company's done that in the past. It's worked well.
Thank you both so much for piping in there and giving that feedback. Laura, this is kind of, I think, just more of a general question to ICCFA, has asked if there will be internet service available for free. Unfortunately, that is a thing of the past, probably, as internet services are very expensive. We do recognize that. If we ever have a sponsor, we will certainly offer it for free, but that is something that is available through Cox Services. The very nice thing about the Fort Worth Convention Center is that it is not buried within a lot of things. It is a very open building. When we did our site visit, we didn't have any trouble with just our regular phone service and accessing the internet from your phone. So hopefully that helps clarify, but there is Cox service on site if you are interested in purchasing or need internet for your booth. Steve has asked, again, back to Sheila, once we wrap our things up in shrink wrap, do we just leave the skid in the booth?
Yes, but make sure you turn in the shipping documentation, the bill of lading, turn that into the Fern service desk.
Perfect, thank you. Nikki has asked if we can explain a little bit more about the Stampede event for $750. So Nikki, that is something we've created this year, new this year, to help with exhibitor engagement. So some folks talk about, it's a big haul and wanting to get people moved around appropriately. So for $750, you will be listed essentially on a bingo card. Your company will be on a bingo card, and there will be rules for our attendees to have to go visit so many of the booths to qualify to earn prizes. So we're looking at doing some gift card prizes, must be present for the attendees to win at the end. They have to turn in their bingo card that proves that they went to so many booths. So if you're interested, please send me an email. I can give a little bit more detail about that, and we would be happy to get you signed up if that's something you want to participate in. My email is Lindsay, Lindsy, no E, no A. That's not a misspelling. That's correct, at ICCFA.com.
And Lindsay, if I could jump in on that for a quick second too,
Please.
With another note about the sponsorships.
Yeah.
There's some new creative options. Actually, just this week, the ICCFA approved another sponsorship option that wasn't available before. But if you remember the layout from last year, we have the hub at the center of the entire expo hall, and there's a lot of tables and chairs, and there's going to be coffee and drinks available throughout the day. People will be milling through that space. So that hub itself is available for sponsorship. And what that would mean is you could actually set up a couple of pull-up banners, like floor standing banners. You could also decorate the tables if you wanted to put, table tents or other decorations up there. Very solid branding opportunity. That was just approved as an option earlier this week, and Thursday it's already spoken for by a vendor, but Friday is still available. So that option is available as an add-on to your annual sponsorship with the ICCFA. It's $5,000 for exclusive for the day, or $3,000 for co-branding if you're doing that with another organization. So just wanted to put that out there since that was new and definitely a high visual impact opportunity for everybody.
Thank you so much, Nick, for including that point too. Really appreciate it.
Sure.
Colleen has asked, we're getting a lot of questions now, and I do realize we're over time, so I appreciate everybody giving us a few extra minutes. I would like to get just through a few more of these. I think they're really important, and we'll have this recorded webinar available later for those who either need a reminder or weren't able to join us today. But Colleen has asked, for electricity, is labor allowed to install lights, power strips, etc., or do we need to hire an electrician to do this? Not sure of the Texas jurisdictions.
So Edlin Electric is the exclusive utility provider in the Fort Worth Convention Center. And in the exhibitor portal, Edlin's guidelines are all listed on their order form. So once you log into the Edlin website, they'll explain all of the jurisdictions that they have. But it's not as structured as it was in Las Vegas.
Thank you, Sheila, for that clarification. Laura has asked, how do we connect with Cox Services for internet needs? I'll pipe in a little bit, but Sheila, if you can make sure I'm giving that right answer. I do believe we should have a form and a contact in the Fern One portal that provides all of our exhibitor ordering for the event. Am I correct there, Sheila?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Just wanting to make sure. You learn a little bit more every year, but wanting to make sure I have all that information for you. Michael has asked for the 10x10 booth battery pack for 120 volt power to run the TV. Can we use this power? Sheila, will you clarify that?
Again, that would be a question for Edlin Electric. If they don't have it, I recommend that you just call them. They're really good about responding and answering their phones. So, or send them an email, but all their contact information is in the portal.
Perfect. Thank you, Sheila. All right. Sorry, just going through, I think several of the questions we had already answered, and nothing new has come in that we haven't answered already. So thank you all again for your time, your expertise. I felt like all of that was really helpful. So hopefully everybody who joined us today did too. We really look forward to seeing you. Boy, it is just a few short weeks from now. So we do look forward to seeing you in Fort Worth, Texas. And thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.